Well, it's a gorgeous day in Jackson Hole today, but cold. It's like 12 degrees for springtime. It's what happens when you get some much needed sun. It's cold, but it's that time of year where a lot more road running because the trails start to get mushy and just not very good. So now is when I switch gears to the time of year where I do most of my road running. Today I have two types of hills. First, I'm gonna do very short, steep hill repeats, 10 to 15 seconds in length. The purpose of these are to provide force into the ground to help my force production. After these short repeats, I'm then gonna finish with 2-minute hill repeats for more of just general strength, early season strength. And you can barely make out the Tetons, still shrouded in a little clouds, off into the distance, off to the north. So here's my steep hill for my force workout. And why is force so important? Well, our force production is one component of improving our speed. It is also paramount for our run health. Becoming better with your force production improves your leg stiffness, which improves your health as a runner. Improves your ability to get off the ground before dysfunction can take place. And this is why they have to remain short and steep. So where you're really focused on providing force into the ground to propel yourself up the hill. And because they're short, now they can be relatively fast or at a higher level of effort. I'm building my watts to 105% of my VO2 max wattage. And let's put this into perspective. If we compare a 100-meter sprinter with a marathoner at race pace, their leg angle at the knee is no different. Their knee high out in front is no different. Their form is really no different. Now you're talking about a runner who's going under 10 seconds speed, and a marathoner at fast speeds, you know, is going close to 2 hours or wherever you're at as an age grouper. Point being is the range of motion with good run form really does not change relative to your speed. What changes is the amount of force you're applying into the ground to propel yourself forward. So let this think in a minute. If the purpose of short and steep hills, or any hill repeats for that matter, helps with strength and force production, then by doing that, you're naturally doing it well. Where the problem lies is when we start running easy for most of our runs, where we don't have that mindset of force production. And that's a crucial part, especially in ultramarathoning when you're out there all day. Like I mentioned, having good force production means you have good leg stiffness. Having good leg stiffness keeps you healthy, uses your body appropriately, improves your cadence, improves your turnover, improves your performance. But we don't have that mindset a lot of times when we run easy. So use these short, steep hill repeats not only to achieve the purpose, but also pull in the awareness. Remember, athleticism is awareness. And while you're doing these, have the awareness of what it feels like to provide that force into the ground on a very steep hill. And then, while you're out on your easy long run, begin to have that awareness of still providing some force into the ground. Now, it's like we mentioned, speed is dictated by force. So now you're running easier or slower. The force is going to be less, but we still want that action. We still want that thought of providing a little push or force into the ground to propel you forward, to keep you healthy, to keep your body working well, to keep your legs feeling good for longer and longer in the race. So use these not only, like I mentioned, to achieve the purpose, but to create that awareness. So then you can mimic that feeling while you're out there when it really, really matters. Doing steep hill repeats, you're going to do it well because that's the purpose. They do its job. It's when we're out there running easy that we don't have that mindset of providing a small amount of force to go forward. And now I'm off to my strength hill repeats. More gradual hill, longer hill, 2 minutes in length. And then again, this is just general early season traditional strength. Why do I do the force hill repeats first? For all the reasons we just talked about. But secondly, they're neuromuscular. They're short, they're relatively fast. And by it being neuromuscular, now I'm firing a lot more muscle fibers, which acts as a warm-up for my muscles, firing more muscle fibers, inviting more muscle fibers to the party for my strength. So I always do it in that sequence. Neuromuscular first to kind of warm up the muscles and the brain, firing signals, and then go into your strength. And if you're not doing the force hill repeats on a day, a great warm-up are all my drills. They're accomplishing the same thing: leg stiffness, neuromuscular, turning more muscle fibers on. So all the drills are a great warm-up for any run. This is also a great time to break up how you're doing your long run. If you're a veteran runner, just kind of falling into the same old long run all the time, do this workout before your long run or part of your long run. I'm going to do it today, executing this workout, force, and then strength, and then go into my long run. What is this doing? It's reinforcing our brain and our awareness to feel that force production when we're running easy, where most dysfunction takes place. And this dysfunction takes place on your easier runs when you don't have that force production or that slight leg extension, where you keep the knee bent most of the time, and that allows the knee to go forward a little bit with poor leg stiffness that causes quad dominance. And it's this quad dominance that causes IT band trouble, runner's knee, glute amnesia, all the dysfunction we've kind of been conditioned to think are just par for the course with running. I actually just heard from one of my athletes, ultra runner in Bulgaria. He's doing UTMB and he's a little quad dominant. So all we've been doing all spring and all winter is working on what we talked about today. And he messaged me yesterday. He says, Eric, I finally felt it in my glutes. And that's what we want. We want to redistribute how you're using your legs from a quad dominant type of usage to more of an equilibrium state where you're engaging the glutes more, which comes from the force production. So not only is force production great for speed, great for performance, providing that subtle force production into the ground when we're running easy sets that leg up to use the glute for stability. And that's the holy grail. All right, give this a shot. It works wonders, especially that awareness. Again, remember, what we're trying to drive home the message today is to have the awareness of force production when you're running easier. It's not so much about doing this workout, but it's doing this workout to create that awareness for times when dysfunction really takes place or when we don't have the awareness of force production. Again, it's easy to have a good mindset and good force production on hills. That's the purpose. But we want to take that awareness to when you're running slower and still have force production. Okay, time for me to finish up. A little bit of alone time, focus time for me. I am actually jumping in the truck tomorrow to drive to Denver for a week. So I'm looking forward to maybe a little bit of shorts weather and seeing a little green and exploring my own stomping grounds. I spent 11 years in Denver before moving to Jackson, and Denver is near and dear to my heart. So hopefully I can take you along for a couple runs, and we can carry on this conversation. So over and out from the neighborhood, Jackson Hole, Born to Run World, and see you in Denver.